Okay, the time is now 4:03, and I'd like to call the Newport Community Development Authority to order.
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and read the roll, call the roll.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Ms. Jackson. And Ms. Jackson is absent. She told me ahead of time that she would be. Ms. Jones.
Present.
Mr. Smith. Davy Smith. Okay. Mr. Thomas. I thought I saw Mr. Thomas. Brian Thomas.
Present.
Okay. And Madam Chair.
Present.
And I also note that we have the Secretary Treasurer, Mimi Terry, who is not a member of the board, but she is an officer of the authority. I see she is on.
Yeah.
And on the phone, I show, or on the Teams call, I also show Daniel Jones. He's the Director of IT at the city. Jeff Miller of the City Attorney's Office. Joe Landon of Lapis Investors, who is the bondholder, and Morgan Steiner from Municap is on. And that's all I see. Is anybody else on the line?
Arthur, Kristen Fauble from Unicap is on as well.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, Madam Chair, I can advise you we have a quorum. And now there are just 3 board members present, Madam Chair. So all of the votes will need to be unanimous. Under the bylaws, a majority of the board, the entire board of 5 people.
Thank you, sir. To amend the agenda prior to approve. I'd like to move the election of officers from 2.7 after other matters as a before the board. Being as though this board only meets once a year, the election of officers, once the officers are elected, they take over the meeting right then and there. So it just makes better sense and have a better flow to do the election of officers after we've conducted the business, which we've been doing for the year. Are there any objections to that? I'd like to make a motion for that to take place to amend the agenda.
I make a motion that we amend the agenda.
And who is that, Mr. Thomas?
Mr. Thomas, yes.
Okay, thank you. Madam Chair, I'll take the roll. Ms. Jones?
We can't hear you.
Yeah, she's on mute.
All right. I'm saying yes. I didn't even know I was supposed to vote, but yeah.
Okay, Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
And Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you. My phone is trying to die on me. The next item up for agenda is the approval of the agenda as amended.
So moved. Second.
I thought we just did that.
Well, I moved to amend the agenda, not to approve it.
Okay, all right. So would someone like to move it as amended then?
I thought I just did. So moved.
Okay. And who's gonna, is there a second for that?
I second it.
Okay, Madam Chair, I'll read the roll. Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas, and Madam Chair.
Yes.
Okay,
The next item on the agenda is public comment period.
Madam Chair, Mr. Landon, Joe Landon, had let me know before the meeting that he would like to speak during the public comment period, and so I would think it would be appropriate to have him do so.
Hi. Thank you, Arthur. Again, my name is Joe Landon. I'm with a firm called Lapis Advisors. We are a private investment firm in the municipal space, and over the years, not so much recently, but back in the early 2010 to 2015, we were involved heavily in helping to fix broken and problematic land district deals like we have here, residential land district deals, that is. And so they're fewer in number today, but we have worked through, I think it was approaching $300 million worth of land district financings to return to development and get it back to productive use and get the land on the tax roll for the city. It's something we pride ourselves on doing and being a part of, and we want to do that. We want to do that here. This property obviously has a very long history of fits and starts and problems. And I want you to know that we are, now that you have one cohesive bondholder, we're in a better position to get it back on solid ground and have it move forward. Previously, these bonds were owned by several different firms who don't always see eye to eye and don't act in the best interest of the locality, because they're dealing with $5 billion mutual funds and they just don't care. But we're a much smaller shop and we care. And so I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. In the background as well, we are spending money on engineers, local firm called Timmons, and we have local land use council engaged as well to help work through some of the challenges that we see with this property. There are some unknowns. Property that's planned 15 years ago, infrastructure that was going to be relied on then maybe deteriorated, is no good, and so we're figuring all of that out. There's also some encumbrances that are pretty challenging that have turned up in the land records. And I know Jeff is on the phone, and our council is going to be connecting with him to go through some of those things. And I expect to continue to work with the town staff to prepare this land and transition it into the hands of what is a solid, first-rate developer builder group to resume building on the remaining land. At the moment, though, what we are hearing in our discussions with the builders that we're talking to is that until this body of information that we're aggregating and building and putting together, until all that's pulled together and the land is truly understood, nobody's interested in purchasing it. And so we're gonna work with you to fix that. And Ms. Jones, I welcome the opportunity to meet with you sometime later this summer. I've got a few other land districts in Virginia, so and love your fine community. I'm actually a Virginia native somewhat. I went to undergraduate and graduate school in Virginia, and my father was in the Navy. And although not stationed there, we were in Portsmouth several times. So I'm very familiar with the area. And would like to see to get this land where it needs to be for the community. So I'm available if anybody ever wants to follow up with me and ask questions. Please feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much, Mr. Landon, for your comments. With you today.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Anyone want to speak?
Ms. Allen, you're kind of breaking up there, so.
I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thank Mr. Landon for his comments, and we look forward to working with him to get Newport where it needs to be. Are there any additional public speakers? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe that, Madam Chairman, I don't think, I certainly had no notice of anybody else who wanted to speak.
And I received no notice either. So at this point, we'll move to the resolution regarding the nature of the meeting.
Okay. Madam Chair, again, this resolution is one similar to the one I prepared and the board adopted last year. In this time of COVID with the electronic meetings, I just had gotten into the habit with the several CDAs that I represent of, laying out all of the ground rules for the meeting in a written resolution so that we wouldn't fumble around with the findings that we had to make and the various special requirements that we have to follow to have a valid electronic meeting. In preparing for the meeting today, the chair asked that I read the resolution. So I'd be happy to do that now. And then, Madam Chair, you'd ask for a motion and a second, and then we would have a roll call vote on it. And if anyone from the board has any questions, please stop me as I go through this. Whereas the Newport Community Development Authority is a political subdivision of the Commonwealth of Virginia established under the Virginia Water and Waste Authorities Act, Chapter 51, Title 15-2, Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended, the Act. And whereas all powers, rights, and duties conferred on Newport by the Act are exercised by a board constituted as set forth in the Act, and whereas the board is a public body subject to the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, Chapter 37, Title 2.2, Code of Virginia of 1950 as amended, and that's FOIA, referred to as FOIA. And whereas FOIA generally prohibits any meeting of a public body to be conducted through telephonic, video, electronic, or other electronic communication means where the members are not physically assembled to discuss or transact public business. And whereas item 4.0.01G of Chapter 1289 of the Acts of the Assembly of 2020 as amended, the electronic meeting exception provides that notwithstanding FOIA or any other provision of law, any public body may meet by electronic communication means without a quorum of the public body physically assembled at one location when the governor has declared a state of emergency in accordance with Section 44-146.17 of the Code of Virginia, provided that 1, the nature of the declared emergency makes it impracticable or unsafe to assemble a quorum of single location, and 2, the purpose of meeting is to discuss or transact the business statutorily required or necessary to continue operations of the public body and the discharge of its lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. And 3, the public body shall make available a recording or transcript of the meeting on its website in accordance with the timeframes established in sections 2.23707 and 2.23707.1 of the Virginia Code. Whereas a public body convening a meeting in accordance with the electronic meeting exception must A, give notice to the public given the best available method given the nature of the emergency, which notice shall be given contemporaneously with the notice provided to members of the public body conducting the meeting. B, make arrangements for public access to such meeting through electronic means, including, to the extent practical, video conferencing technology if the means of communication allows, and if the means of communication allows, provide the public with an opportunity to comment. And 3, otherwise comply with the provisions of 2.2-3708.2. And whereas Section 2.2-3708.2A3 requires the nature of the emergency, the fact that the meeting was held by electronic communication means, and the type of electronic communication means by which the meeting was held to be stated in the minutes of the meeting. And whereas on March 12, 2020, the governor issued Executive Order 51 as amended, and that's referred to below as amended Executive Order 51, declaring that a state of emergency exists in the Commonwealth of Virginia arising from the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, and specifically citing the governor's authority under Section 44-146.17, which executive order has been amended a number of times but is still in effect. And whereas it has been widely reported that COVID-19 spreads from person to person, transmitted via respiratory droplets, and can be spread from an infected person who does not have symptoms to another person, and the avoidance of physical assembly whenever possible is critical to ongoing efforts to contain and manage a virus that is spread through close contact between people. And whereas the steps announced by the governor in response to COVID-19 as set forth in amended Executive Order 51 remain in full force and effect, and as of the date of this meeting, there is continuing uncertainty regarding when travel and group gatherings will again be deemed safe. And whereas Newport's board has called this meeting via conference telephone to transact certain business statutorily required or necessary to continue operations of Newport and the discharge of the board's lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities, including the items set forth on the proposed agenda for the meeting provided to the board, the agenda. Whereas on May 3, 2021, Council to Newport, acting at the direction of the chairman, provided notice to the members of the board of this meeting and arranged with staff of the city of Portsmouth to post the notice of this meeting on the city's meeting calendar on the city's website. Whereas the notice to the board and the public notice state that this meeting is being held by electronic communication means and identified no remote locations offering public access. Whereas Council to Newport has stated that a copy of the proposed agenda and agenda package, including any changes thereto, distributed to members of the board, were available for public inspection. At the same time, such documents were furnished to the members of the board. After careful consideration and to further public purposes for which the Newport Community Development Authority was created, now therefore be it resolved by the board of the Newport Community Development Authority that 1, the board finds and determines that 1, the nature of the emergency declared by the governor pursuant to amended Executive Order 51 makes it impracticable or unsafe to assemble a quorum of the board in a single location, and 2, the purpose of the meeting as set forth in the agenda is to transact certain business statutorily required or necessary to continue operations in Newport and of the board's lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. The board further finds and determines that the notice provided to the public was given by using the best available method given the nature of the emergency. The board acknowledges the minutes of this meeting will be recorded as required by Section 2.2-3707 Virginia Code, and that all votes taken during this meeting will be recorded by name in roll call fashion and included in the minutes. 2, the board directs the chairman and Council to Newport to take all other actions necessary or advisable to comply with the provisions of the electronic meeting exception in Section 2.2-3708.2 of the Virginia Code, recognizing that Newport does not have its own website on which a recording or transcript of the meeting may be made available. And finally, 3, this resolution shall be effective immediately. Are there any questions about the resolution? Madam Chair, I think it would be appropriate this time to solicit a motion and a second, and then we can take a roll.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to move to find there's a motion to approve the resolution.
A second?
That's Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
All right. Madam Chair, I will proceed to call the roll. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item of business is approval of the minutes for the meeting of May 14th, 2020. Were sent out in our packages. If there are no need to make any adjustments to those minutes, I'd like to move for an approval of minutes from the meeting, May 14th, 2020 meeting.
I make a that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, you seconded?
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
Ms. Jones did it. Mr. Thomas made the motion.
okay. And Ms. Jones seconded it? I'm sorry.
Yes.
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 Thank you. Madam Chair, I'll call the roll. Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Our next item of business is the levy of annual assessments for the tax year 2021, 2022.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Morgan Steiner with UNICAP. We prepared the annual assessment report for the levy of annual installments for tax year 21. I was going to share my screen, but I don't think I have that capability. But does everyone have a copy of that report?
I do.
Okay.
The report is dated May 12.
Oh, maybe not then. It may go too.
Okay. Are you all good with me to move forward?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to walk through each of the tables within the report, but feel free to stop me at any time. We're going to start on page 2 of the report. Table A shows the transaction activities in the funds and accounts held by the trustee from January 1 of 2020 through December 31st of 2020. We've included the transactions that have occurred with the M&T Trust Company. They were the previous trustee. We've included this in the table just because there was some minimal balances in there that needed to be closed out, and they were closed out as of August 19th of 2020. So we just wanted to reflect that in this report. Those balances were transferred to the new trustee, UMB. As far as the funds and accounts held with UMB, during that time period, UMB received $407,776 in annual installments from the city. And they also paid out $71,776. And that mostly related to the regular administration of the district, as well as some other payments to the Bondholders Council, trustee, as well as some of those engineering invoices that I think Joe was referencing earlier as well. Is there any questions on that table? Okay. Moving on to page 3, table B shows the rates of return that each fund and account were earning as of December 31st. And each fund and account was invested in a Fidelity Treasury Money Market Fund, earning approximately 0.01% as of December 31st. I will note that rates haven't really increased from the rates as of December 31st. They've remained pretty stable at 0.01. Any questions on Table B? Okay, moving to page 4, Table C shows the calculation of the annual revenue requirement for the 2021 tax year. Generally speaking, the annual revenue requirement is equal to debt service and administrative expenses related to the bonds, plus any available funds such as surplus revenues from the prior year or any investment income expected to be earned on the debt service reserve fund. One thing to note as we're walking through this table, as you all are probably aware, prior to March 1st of 2021, the bondholders had directed the trustee to defer the payment of interest and sinking fund payments on the bonds due to insufficient funds from a few delinquent parcel owners within the district not paying their annual installments. There was a partial payment of the accrued and unpaid interest made on March 1st of 2021 in the amount of approximately $780,000. However, for purposes of determining and calculating the annual revenue requirement for this year, we have assumed that all of the sinking fund payments that have been deferred and not paid have been made. Same with the interest. So the interest and principal payments shown on in Table C are based off of the principal portion if those sinking fund payments have been made. As you can see from Table C, that debt service is equal to $1,082,006. We've also estimated administrative expenses at $57,964, and the calculation of that amount is shown in Table E on the following page. That brings total expenses to $1,139,970. There are no available funds to reduce those expenses, so the annual revenue requirement for assessment year 2021-2022 is $1,139,970. Any initial questions on Table C?
No questions.
Okay. Moving on to page 5, Table D shows the breakdown of the estimated expenses for the CDA for the 2021 tax year. These expenses include the expenses of the trustee, meetings of the CDA, the administrator, CDA's counsel, the city's collection fee, the expense of the CDA audit, and the insurance, and then any other miscellaneous expenses that are unanticipated. And those expenses, again, total $57,964. And just a note, even though these are estimated, if expenses come in below, obviously they're not paid. We just pay the invoices that are submitted. Any questions on Table D? Okay. Moving on to Table E on page 6, this table shows the deficit or surplus from the prior year. Again, the interest and principal payments shown in this report are the interest and principal payments that were assumed in the calculation of the annual revenue requirement for the previous year. I will note again that on March 1, the bondholder was paid $780,000 in accrued and unpaid interest. You can see from this table that there is a surplus. That's really not an actual surplus because, again, the bondholder is still due a significant amount of accrued and unpaid interest, as well as $1,441,000 in sinking fund payments that have not been made.
Can you give me the? I'm sorry, this is Mr. Thomas. Can
Yes.
Can you give me that amount that was paid to the bond to the
The bondholder?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So on March 1st of 2021, the trustee paid $780,115.16 to the bondholder.
That doesn't show on this table.
Right, that doesn't show in the table.
Okay.
This report was prepared back in February before that payment was made. That's
okay.
actually, we made some changes since the initial copy was distributed, and it was just really to reflect that there was a payment made to the bondholders in the narrative.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on Table E? Okay, so.
He has my.
Sorry, Angela, Miss Allen, what did you say?
I said, Mr. Thomas already asked my question.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, if I'm hearing no other questions, that was the conclusion of the overview of the annual revenue requirement. We will go over two final schedules that are the appendices to the report. So you flipped it back to the back of the report. Appendix A1 shows the annual installment of special assessments. So this shows the annual installments or the special assessments that we can collect each year from the property owners within the district. And including this year, tax year 2021, a total of $14,555,674 has been billed to the property owners. Again, as you all know, there's been significant delinquencies from, I believe, 4 or 5 parcel owners, or 4 or 5 parcels rather, that represent vacant land. So a majority of that has not yet been paid.
Do you mind if you interject? I'm sorry, this is Mimi. Are you, the vacant land that you're referring to, is that land behind, I don't know the parcel number, but it's behind, like, near the Farm Fresh. I know there's several vacant lots that were a part of the entire project. Is that the land that you're referring to that they haven't, because they haven't done any construction or building, they're not paying anything?
Right. So if you look at the assessment roll, Mimi, the parcels that I am talking about, if you look on page 12 of Appendix A2, starting with the last 2 parcels in that table, it would be those parcels, and I believe the 3 parcels on the following page that have not paid. And I'm sorry, there might be a single family lot in there, but it's the larger parcels with the larger special assessments on there. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's, yeah, there's 4 of them.
All right, so if I'm looking on Appendix A2, and all of them start with 0517-2390. What? I'm just trying to identify exactly which ones. That's all.
Sure. Sure. So if you're looking at A2, page 12, the last 2 parcels on that page end in 010. The special assessment amount is $5,186,357. And then the parcel below it, and then I believe the 3 parcels on the following page, which would be the last page of the report.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. And then we jumped ahead a little bit, but the last appendix here is Appendix A2, and this is essentially the special assessment roll for tax year 21. So it shows each of the taxable parcels within the district, their total special assessment obligation, the principal portion of special assessment, again, that's been reduced, assuming those sinking fund payments have actually been made. And then the annual installment has been allocated to each of those parcels based on the annual installment rate, which is equal to the annual revenue requirement, which we went over, I believe, in Table C, divided by the total principal portion of special assessments. And that percentage is then multiplied by each parcel's principal portion of assessment to get to their annual installment. And then we round that to the nearest dollar to comply with, I believe, the city's billing software. So that's what the last column is. It's just rounding each of those annual installment figures to the nearest dollar. Any questions on A2?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is Mimi Terry. So are they considering, okay, 2 parts. Are they considering trying to sell any of this? Because I know as long as the city, they don't do anything, the city won't receive their money. We just keep accruing what is outstanding for this these parcels that haven't been any taxes due, I should say. So I think the last time we were at maybe 8 or 10 million that was outstanding. Or am I all the way off from the last meeting?
You mean what's outstanding as far as total special assessments, Mimi?
Yeah, because I know the last time I was on this call, that was my first time, and I know that we've had a couple of council meetings that, as the attorney has come forth and said, until anything is done, that the city will not receive any of the taxes on this assessment or on this property, because either this property, because nothing has been developed, or I know it was like a long term, so we had some issues going on because we're like at the bottom of the totem pole for who gets paid. And so I know we have something outstanding that is due for taxes, but I thought it was in the realm of about 10 million.
And when you say, I think Joe Landon wants to chime in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me. I'll take a stab at maybe explaining this. The individual parcels and the individual homes on their lots have a super senior lien equivalent to like a mortgage, but a priority mortgage that is equivalent to property taxes. And that dollar amount added up across all the approximately 400 individual homes that are there today, plus all the 4 vacant parcels, that lien totals about $10 million.
Okay.
And so whoever is the title owner to that property, which is I guess an insolvent party who has not been paying their taxes for years, has chosen not to pay their taxes and doesn't appear to be going to, that amount stays outstanding until there is a tax sale to occur. What we have seen as I spoke to earlier, working through these land district financings that are problematic, is people rush to sell properties at auction, and undercapitalized or poor parties again step up and purchase the property, not understanding the bond debt and that's equal to taxes, and the problem repeats itself. What we want to do, and I can send you a list of examples of where that's happened. And so we've been talking with the city's attorney's office and the outside counsel that has been working through the foreclosure process on that landowner, and providing them the information that we're turning off in order to clean this land so that does not happen here. We do not want a repeat situation. And so we intend we only get paid if there's somebody there building, and you, the city, only get paid if there's somebody there building houses. Our interests are aligned. And so we don't want to step in that again. So hopefully from a business perspective, that answered your question.
Okay. Yes and no. Just I get everything you say, but I just want to make sure I was crystal clear. So the person who the city made a deal with to purchase that land, for any outstanding parcel, there has been no taxes collected on that parcel to pay the city. And then the person who gave them the money, which is the person or the debt or the bank, they get everything first, and we get whatever is left to pay that debt or what is outstanding.
No. You're in first priority position with us. So when there is a sale, and when there is, by the way, to set expectations, we don't expect that price to be very much money. And the bond lien is equal to the tax lien. And so therefore pro rata, we, the bondholders, will share in whatever proceeds are realized from the sale. So if there's a $100,000 purchase price paid, I think the split is somewhere around 60 to 70% to the bondholders and 30 to 40% to the city. So you would get $35,000 and bondholders would get $65,000. And of course, there's some, legal fees and auction costs and other things that come off the top of that $100,000 example number. So I would not be looking, my recommendation and our viewpoint is not to be looking at the sale that will occur to provide a windfall to either you or to us. It's really finding that party who is well capitalized enough, has the right building plan, and can market and sell houses back into productive use and create that tax base for the city.
Right. So realistically, what we're looking for is not recovering any tax dollars for that outstanding debt, but to expect a builder to come in and then future collect tax dollars off whatever the owners would be for those new properties and the assessments.
That's exactly right. That's correct. I mean, there'll be some small amount of money, but it won't be $1 million, $2 million. It'll be in the low to mid six-figure range that will come in and obviously get divided up.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to be clear that I understood. Bottom line. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Sorry to have interrupted more.
No, you're perfect. That's fine. All right.
Morgan, you want to continue?
Sure. I just wanted to, I guess I really don't have anything else to present on the report, but if anyone else has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. And if there's no questions, then I would just hand it back over to you, Madam Chair, to go over the resolution for approving this report.
Any additional questions? Like, or with the resolution?
You're breaking up, Miss Allen.
Sorry, like to move forward with the resolution?
Okay. Madam Chair, would you like me to read it now?
Please.
Okay. I will proceed. Now, as a preview, this is almost exactly the same resolution as you've approved. You've certainly last year and previous years. And it ties, as you'll see, it really ties into the MuniCap report. I certainly don't want to have to repeat everything that Morgan presented to you. So, Resolution Newport Community Development Authority taking certain annual actions with respect to the annual installment of the special assessment for each parcel. Newport Community Development Authority, the authority adopted a resolution on January 18, 2006, approving special assessments to be levied on property within the authority district pursuant to the rate and method of apportionment of special assessments as amended. The rate and method. The rate and method provides that for each tax year, the authority will confirm the estimate from MuniCap Inc. as administrator, the administrator of the special assessment, of the annual installment of the special assessment for each parcel, as such terms are defined in the rate and method. The special assessment agreement dated February 14, 2006, the special assessment agreement between the authority, the city of Portsmouth, and Portsmouth Venture 1 LLC, and the indenture of trust dated as of May 1, 2006, between the authority and UMB Bank National Association as successor trustee to Manufacturers and Traders Trust Company, each delivered by the authority when it previously issued its revenue bonds, require the authority to request the city council of the city to levy and collect the annual installment of the special assessment for each parcel for the related tax year. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Newport Community Development Authority, 1, in accordance with paragraph D of the rate and method, the authority hereby confirms the estimate of the annual installment of the special assessment for each parcel as set forth on the report from the administrator for the 2021 tax year submitted at this meeting, the report, provided that the administrator is authorized and directed to make such adjustments and corrections as may be necessary, A, to conform to city tax maps and parcel identification numbers, B, to address the event in which any of the parcels is further subdivided as shown on the city's tax rolls, as such tax rolls may be amended from time to time. And C, take into account any prepayments which the administrator determines with the consent of the city treasurer may be applied as a credit against any annual installment. All such adjustments and corrections shall be made consistent with the methodology set forth in the rate and method and used in preparing the report. Is there a question? Okay, I'll continue. Number 2, the authority pursuant to paragraph 4A of the special assessment agreement and section 9.3 of the indenture hereby requests the city to levy and collect the annual installments as provided in the attached report from the administrator as it may be adjusted or corrected pursuant to this resolution. 3, all acts of the officers and agents of the authority previously taken in furtherance of the purposes of this resolution are hereby ratified and confirmed. 4, the chairman of the authority is authorized to take such further action, including without limitation, delivery of any notices, certificates, or instruments necessary or appropriate, A, to carry out the intent of this resolution, and B, to approve the reapportionment of the annual installment of the special assessments for any parcel to the extent such parcel is subdivided during the course of the tax year. Number 5, this resolution shall be effective upon its adoption. Madam Chair, I think it would be appropriate to request a motion and a second. If there are no questions.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Allen.
request a motion to approve, excuse me?
Go ahead, Mr. Allen.
I'd like to solicit a motion to approve the resolution as read.
I make a motion that we accept the resolution as read.
Second.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'll proceed to call the roll or take the roll call vote. Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Are there any other matters that may be brought before the board at this time? We move to the election of officers.
Madam Chair, if I may, as we discussed earlier, the current officers are you as the chair, Ms. Patton, or Dr. Patton, who was the former city manager, was the vice chair, and Ms. Terry, director of finance, was the secretary treasurer. The secretary treasurer does not have to be a member of the board pursuant to the bylaws, but the chair and the vice chair do have to be members of the board.
Thank you for the clarification. Being as though I'm the actual vice chair at this point, Arthur, would you have an issue taking over this portion and soliciting the nominees for potential seats?
No, not at all. Is there a nominee for the chair?
Arthur, would Ms. Jones just take over in Dr. Patton's role?
Well, as of today, we have to elect new officers for the next year pursuant to the bylaws. At the first meeting of each calendar year, you need to elect new officers. So, so the answer is no.
Could a person serve more than one term.
Yes.
Would Ms. Allen be amenable to serving as chair again? Because if so, I would nominate her.
I am amendable to serving a second term if it's at the pleasure of the board.
Then I would nominate Ms. Allen to serve as chair.
Okay. Is there a nominee for, are there any other nominees for chair? Is there a motion to elect Ms. Allen as the chair?
A motion to elect Ms. Allen as our chairperson.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. And Madam Chair, I'll call the roll. Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Madam Chair.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll open the nominations for vice chair.
Ms. Jones, are you amenable to a second term? Well, to a first term.
Right. Yes, I would be.
Are there any other nominations? Is there a motion to elect Ms. Jones as the vice chair?
I make a motion that we elect Mrs. Jones as the vice chair.
Okay. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, and that's okay. All right, Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and call the roll. Ms. Jones,
It sounds weird that I have to say yes first. Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Madam Chair.
Yes.
All right. And then Secretary Treasurer.
Ms. Terry, are you amendable to remaining in that position?
Yes.
Then
Are there
I
any
so
other?
move that we,
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Is there a motion to elect Ms. Terry as the Secretary Treasurer?
So
move to,
Is there a second? I'm sorry, it's breaking up a little bit.
second.
Okay, I will go ahead and call the roll. Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Madam Chair.
yeah.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay. That is our agenda for today. At this point, it is now 4:57 p.m. Move for adjournment.
So moved.
And who moved for adjournment?
Ms. Jones.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I will go ahead and call the roll. Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
and Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Okay, the motion carries.
This will conclude our meeting. Thank you all for your time and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Nice seeing you all.